Good evening and welcome to my live podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and I'm glad you found me. Um, you found me on Facebook, and we got our links up that look like they're working. So, you Fight CPS is where you found me. Now, I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I come on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time. And the only exception to that is on my Sunday, I come on 2 hours early because I'm with my family. Um, okay. Um, oh boy. I don't know why my phone messages come up so much later. So, uh, we have a new thing that we've done to our podcast. Right now, my show producer, Grace, uh, has put a message from Mr. Davis. And so at the last podcast this morning, she had a message from Mr. Davis, and I played it. And so apparently, excuse me, I got a runny nose. It's like what Mr. Davis has a new program out and so forth. And at the following to my end of my podcast, so be there. So I'm glad you found this room, and I want to welcome you. It's it's very hard where you guys are at because you're dealing with the entity. I call it the Child Protection System. It stands for the branch of social service that deals with protecting our children from neglect and abuse, and of families that are in need being helped in the areas of food, clothing, shelter, education, medical, and a job. It's supposed to do that also. And if they need to break the family apart, it's supposed to do family reunification. It's supposed to be an unbiased bunch of social workers whose goal is to um, protect the children, but also make sure that the family can be fitted back together again if there's hiccups or whatever. It seems lately that there's different alternatives for CPS. They're more interested in trafficking your child and alienating your child so they can make bucks by having the children in their custody, which is really sad because there's a lot of children that are not protected that should be protected. Now, I know it's hard for you right now where you're at in your life. I too was caught up in CPS. It still hurts me. I've been doing it for 15 years, fighting them. In 2010, when I first had contact with them, in 2015, they took my 3 youngest children, and it took me 3 years and selling my home to hire an attorney to get my children back. One of my children, was completely revenged by the social worker, convincing my child never to come back to her mom and dad. And I'll tell you about that in a time right now. There are several ways you can interact with this podcast. And the first way is when you come into this room, you can take notes, you can listen, you can down below subscribe to my podcast. And also, if you want to be reminded, you can hit the notification button. Also, in this podcast, you want to be closely observing and taking notes because I do talk about things that help you in your CPS case. I have my 5 rules that I've come up with. I have stories to tell you about social workers, and I have all these tabs opened up about the ICWA Act of 1978, the 388 motion, the ICPC. It goes on and on. How to file a grievance with the child protection system, how to file a grievance on your judge, how to file a grievance on your attorney or your court-appointed attorney. And I talk about a lot of the things there, the pros and cons. So I'm in here. I also have regular room regulars. Now, if you decide that you want to talk and ask a question or make a comment, you can type in a comment to me. I put it on the screen what to do here. When typing in the comment of your CPS question, please show your name, city, state, or country, and be complete with your CPS case. Now, it's very important that we stick with CPS. That's what we're here to talk about, the child protection system. And the reason why I ask you to show your name is that a lot of you have fancy names on your Facebook or your YouTube video. I mean, your YouTube account, such as examples like psychedelic hippos or dancing butterflies or Gone with the Wind. So what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to get an easy name to address you, like Kathy, Mary, Debbie, Mark, John, Sue, Bob, Robert, whatever your first name is. I don't need a last name. And then follow that name with your city or county. Now, if you don't want to tell me your city, that's fine. I understand that. At least put in your county because there's many cities and counties. And then your state. And this is so I get an idea about your case. Furthermore, since this is a live podcast broadcast around the world, anybody that has internet can watch it. I've had countries texted comments about CPS questions in their country and what they're going through. And so I'm open to anybody with a CPS matter, whether they're from the United States or one of the far remotest of our world, because I want to help you all. I care about you. I'm a loving family father. I am married for 32 years. I have 6 children. I care what happens. And I went through the child protection system and it was awful. My experience was awful. I'm from Southern California, called Surf City, USA. I'm, a couple blocks from the ocean, and it's a nice neighborhood, nice weather, and so forth. But I know that a lot of you are hitting hard times. Me too. I had some hard times. I once had a beautiful home, but I had to sell my home to hire an attorney. I once had great credit rating, but child protection ruined my credit rating. And of course, what really triggered off the whole scenario was in 2010, unbeknownst to me, I had to lose my job only because, and not fault of me, because I had a lot of contract work with the state of California. And they had awarded me a lot of projects, but they wouldn't start on the projects because they needed the funding. I had $53 million worth of contract work to do with them. And they wouldn't release the funding so I could start the jobs. And so my owner couldn't afford, so I had to close my company down. At the same time, I learned about how allegations are made. And they're made by two groups of people. They're made by people that are professionals that are trained to recognize abuse and neglect, like teachers and policemen and firemen and nurses, caregivers, counselors, principals. Anybody that works with children knows how to knows what neglect or abuse is, and they're required by law. They're required by law to report it. That's to protect our children, and 90% of the time they get it right. 90% of the time they get it right, or it turns out that it was later disapproved, but they did a professional attempt. The other kind of people that make allegations are your lay people. They're like they could be a family member, or they could be a neighbor, or they could be someone at work observing, or someone at the store, and they call in. And a lot of them, I'd say 50% of the allegations by lay people are for retaliation measures. What I mean by that is that they may not like your yard encroaching in their yard. So they're going to make up a story that your children are left abandoned in your yard. And when they come out to investigate you, you don't have children. That's how silly they'll be. In my case, I had allegations made by my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and 1 brother. For 5 years, they once a week would make a report that we weren't feeding our children, we weren't clothing our children, we weren't housing our children, we didn't pay the utility bills, we didn't take them to school. It went on and that, week after week. So after 5 years of this, and there's 52 weeks in a year, so you can imagine that's a lot of allegations. They were determined to find something. They said this person's got to be wrong, and this lay person's got to be right. So they contacted the local police department, who put a detective to start to follow me. And I was pulled over, and he insisted I come to the home. I had no idea all these people were waiting there. They had 5 firemen. They had 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and the detectives all in there. They wanted to inspect my house. If I knew what I knew now, that would never come in my house. Your house, you don't have to open up to them. But I had nothing to hide. They'd been to my house before. I had nothing to hide. So I'll stop there for a moment, because I would like to finish my how they interact with this podcast. Now, I've been talking about comments and how to make comments. Now, when I say country, I like to see the city and country you're from. So far, I've heard from Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, a country in the Middle East. It was in Arabic, so I can't recognize the country. And then I had the continent of Africa. I had Liberia in the northwest corner of Africa along the coast. I had the west province of South Africa in the south. And then I had Rwanda in Central East Africa near Lake Victoria that text a message in, and then Mozambique. And Mozambique is on the east side, closer to South Africa, across from Madagascar Island. Then we go up to Europe, and in Europe, I had England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and then I had Denmark and Sweden. And so We go across the pond, and I call the pond the Atlantic Ocean, but we go to North America. And I've had several provinces in Canada contact me. In fact, one was the First Nation Indian tribe in British Columbia. I've had Alberta and other provinces there that have contacted me. Now, the 50 states, all the 50 states have contacted me either in texting or in let me get my picture adjusted, texting or calling in, including Washington, D.C. And I've had Indian tribes there. The Native American people of the United States, I've had the Lakota Sioux at the Rosebud Reservation near the Pine Reservation, and then I had the Cherokee in Oklahoma and the Osage in Oklahoma. I've even had social workers contact me, 3 of them, and they're on the show. So I look for more because I like their input as well as I look for police to call in and tell me how they handle um, the children and the things that they do or don't do or whatever are not there. So I've been so we go further south to Mexico. Had a father calling looking for his daughters in Louisiana. And then we go to South America, had Guyana, which is east of Venezuela and north of Brazil on the east coast of South America, then across the Pacific to the land down under, where I've had several states in Australia, the Gold Coast area and Melbourne. Uh, I forget what that state's called there, but they called in too about a CPS case. Now, I want you to be complete with your CPS case. And what I mean by that is please describe, after you show your name, your city, county or state or city and country, if there is there, that your family is made up of a husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, or partners. Are both parents involved? Are you a single parent? Are the same parents the biological parents of the children? And so it's important you state that and then tell me the ages and the sexes of the children and what the allegations of neglect and abuse, the more detailed of what happened there. Also, like to hear about that. And then, how were your children taken? Were they immediately taken? And so it's kind of important to know about that. Also, hi Faye, welcome Faye. Faye is a single mom from Richmond, Kentucky, who tries to be on my show as much as I am. And she says, hello, everybody. I hope you're having a safe, blessed night. Yeah, poor Faye right now is taking care of her cats. Several of her cats are ill, and she has a hard job of doing that. She's a single parent. She has a son that she loves, but he's special needs, so she has to take special care of him. She's working to adopt her son, to be guardian of her son. He's over the age of 18. She did lose her daughter through no fault of her own. And she was in foster care 5 times. And in and out, she was molested and raped and physically abused and tortured by walking on rocks and so forth. She's been through it all. Her mom was an alcoholic. She loved her mom. Her mom has passed away. But her mom was where most of her problems were. Because she had a track record with foster care, being in foster care, they tracked her down and they did a cruel thing and made her choose between her son or daughter to keep. And she wanted to keep her son because of his special needs. So she had to give up her daughter at the age of 4 or 5, a very young age there. And so she's been fighting for 12, 13 years. And she finally got a break now where they're going to investigate her case, which was unjustly wrong, and try to establish some type of communication with her daughter. She doesn't want to upset her daughter because her daughter is bonded with somebody else, but she would like to see how her daughter's doing and let her daughter know that she's there too. So I'm glad you're here, Faye, and hopefully you can add more tonight to the show. So we have a new format. At the end of the show, I was trying to do it at the beginning of the show, but I blew it by coming on live too quick. And so we have a special message from Vincent Davis that's pre-recorded, and our show producer, Grace, will put it on at the end of the show. And so it's a special message from Mr. Davis. Now, I'm really excited tonight because we got a lot of people, and I got a thumbs up from somebody in the room. So thank you for the thumbs up. And you guys are really good to use emojis. I also can take hearts too. You can show appreciation, but hearts. So you can send stars during the broadcast to support the page. So I appreciate that. So thank you all for what you're doing. Now, Faye, I've been talking about how we can interact with this podcast, and I just got finished talking about the comments, and now I want to talk the third way, which is about being a guest. And we're very fortunate to have guests from time to time. It wasn't too long ago we had a guest. To be a guest on my podcast, meaning that I can have up to 10 people, including myself. 9 additional people with me is a total of 10, shown on the StreamYard application, which is what I use when I broadcast on YouTube. So in order to get on as my guest, it's really easy. You'd contact my show producer, Grace at VincentWDavis.com. Grace at VincentWDavis.com. The message is up there on the screen, and hopefully you can read it. But you just send an email. You pick one of my 14 shows a week that you want to be on. You can say, I want to be on Bob's Sunday morning show, or Bob's Saturday night show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Bob's Monday evening show. And she will send you the link to StreamYard. Don't lose the link in case you get knocked off, because you can get back on. It's a good link. And then she'll explain to you what you can do and not do as a guest, such as not eating during the show, not smoking, and also she'll tell you that we don't use names, children's names, judges' names, or social workers' names on the show. So that's the third way. The final way is you can call in. You can call in at my number. My office number is up on the screen. It's 626-698-0990. That is my office number. And it goes directly to my phone. We use Vonage, is the application we use for the phone for my company. But that is my office number, direct line. Now, the other number you see on the screen there, the 888-888-6582, is the number to the office, Vincent W. Davis and Associates office. It's an office full of different attorneys. The lead attorney, Vincent W. Davis, the one that produces this podcast, I want to give many thanks to. And he'll have a special message at the end of this podcast to talk about a new program he's working on. And so you can call in that number if you want to retain Mr. Davis as your dependency attorney, or you want another kind of attorney in other legal matters. They have a full gamut there. They have child custody, divorce, criminal, immigration, your workplace, all kinds of different kinds of attorneys for doing different things. The area that Mr. Davis is called dependency law. It's where juveniles and family dependency law are mixed together, blended together, where you fight the agency, child protection system, and try to get the kids back, because they've proven, studies have shown, the best parents are the biological parents. The best parents are the biological parents. So that is the number you want to call in and talk to. Now, I want to go over my rule number 1, and I have another ticket up there. I don't know if you noticed at the bottom of my screen. Now, for instance, right now I've made special arrangements that you can book Mr. Davis for a discounted Zoom consultation for up to 30 minutes, and that is for $60. But you have to go online and sign in. So you go to https:// candidly.com/apps VWD/Bob Pace, BOBPACE. Now, when you go there, you can sign up for his class and sign up for a consultation. And all you have to do is use your credit card and pay $60 for 30 minutes. That's $60. It's a special arrangement that I made with Mr. Davis to help you all be able to talk to an attorney that's been fighting CPS for 35 years. He's the best there is around. He knows how to fight CPS. He has been successful and got children returned. He has a case up in Northern California, several cases in Southern California. His main city where he works at is Arcadia. He also has a case in Oklahoma, but he'll do other cases across the country. So he can be retained, and Vincent can talk to you during consultation. So I think it's really important that you do contact him. And my rule number one is you need to get an attorney. And why do you need an attorney? Because dealing with CPS is like open heart surgery. If you're going to have open heart surgery, you're not going to get a plumber. You're not going to get an auto mechanic to work on your heart. You're going to get what's called a professional doctor that's been to medical school, done an internship, has gotten a license, and has been a mentor of other doctors for a period of time before he starts on your heart. Because the heart is a real critical area. The same thing with CPS. CPS is not your friend. They're not transparent. They will not be fair to you. They'll bring your hopes up and then deflate you. So I'm telling you, my experience with CPS has been awful. And I've gone to the top dog. So that is a real strong reason why you want to get an attorney. And if you try to use what's called a court-appointed attorneys, it's going to be hard because they have a caseload of 30 or more. They're only trained in criminal law. They're not in dependency law. And they've been involved a short time. They're paid very little. They're not going to do much for your case. They can't break away and talk to you because they have so many cases going on. So your chances of getting anything or anywhere with use of court-appointed attorney is nil because they won't fight for you. They're not in there to fight for you. They're friends of the court. So it's an uphill battle. So what you need to do is you need to get a real attorney. That's why I introduced you to Mr. Davis. He's the best there is. He will do civil lawsuits. And he's done them both in state and federal courts and won millions of dollars from the agency. The agency people will lie. And that's one of the most common things when they commit perjury. In my case, my social worker did lie. What was happening was part of getting my children back. My wife's sister and her husband were trying to adopt our daughter. And Vincent was very clever because when the social worker was on the stand talking about my wife's sister and husband being a good parent for Aaron, my daughter, he asked the social worker point blank that what kind of parents are these parents, and have they ever had domestic violence? And she says, no domestic violence. They're wonderful parents. It'd be no problem. Well, then he proceeded to go in his briefcase and pull out a folder with about 30 cases, about a half-inch thick, of domestic violence cases. And these were physical. They weren't just simple arguing. They were physical. So you don't want to put a daughter with that. So she looked like mud. Her face looked bad. And, of course, she lied on the stand. And her face was down. And she knows she was going to be hammered. Unfortunately, I did not have the money to hire Mr. Davis to file a civil lawsuit. I'd spent way too much money getting my kids back. And I lost one of them, and it was really hard. It still hurts me today, and it hurts my wife too that we miss our daughter so much. Because you're dealing with an agency that is so awful. I give you another example. Besides, by the way, this social worker, when she was caught with her lies, told us parents, I'm going to get revenge and you're never going to see your daughter again. So what she told our daughter to do was divorce her parents, meaning emancipate from your parents. They can do so 12 years in California. So she divorced her mother, her father, her two brothers, her four sets of grandparents, and all her aunts and uncles and cousins. She divorced everybody. And she was only at 12 years of age. Okay, I have someone that just called in. Good evening. Who's this I'm talking to?
This is Anita.
Yeah, hi, Peggy. Can you turn in the background? I can hear myself talking. Can you turn that down?
Yes, I apologize.
No, it's all right. It's just I compete with myself there. So you're Peggy, and what part of the world are you from?
No, I'm Herlita, like her over there, Lita.
Okay.
And
Let me
my troubles.
let me explain again. Are you a mother or are you a child?
I'm a mother of two beautiful children.
Okay.
One of them has made it to be an adult, and I still have one that's 15.
Okay, so you have an adult and a 15-year-old. And again, what city and state are you calling about?
It's going to be Yolo County, California.
Okay, Yolo County, California. Is that in Southern California?
No, that is near Sacramento. Could you give me 2 seconds? I'm
Sure.
sorry, this is the father.
No problem.
Right now.
No problem. No problem. So we have a mother who has two children, a grown-up child and a 15-year-old child. And we're starting to hear about her case in Zuma County, which is in Northern California. And I guess she said something with the father. So maybe she may be going through a divorce or estranged from her husband or what the situation. We'll find out soon. So I'm so glad to have someone on the show here. And hopefully you can hear me. Faye, are you hearing me? Yeah. Are you?
I apologize.
Yeah. Are you hearing me okay?
I can hear you lovely. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Now, just so I know the makeup of your family, are you married?
No, I am not.
Are you?
We've been cohabiting.
Okay, so you guys are partner. You're partner, and you've had some children, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is the biological father still involved with the children?
Yes.
Okay. Is he united with you, or are you guys working against each other?
We're cohabiting. We are getting attacked by the county.
Right. You're getting attacked by the county, but he is behind you, and you're behind him on trying to keep your children. Okay, good news.
Well,
I'm glad to hear that.
I have a human service degree, but from what I've learned in my human service degree, everything that you're doing is unethical, is wrong. They have tried to kidnap our children, saying how we talk to them of the police determines how we handle our children, which is a violation of our rights. And they have no proof of nothing. Basically, what happened was in 2019, we were attacked by Sacramento police training our children in an Oak Park area for football and cheerleading. Unfortunately, we were attacked by these officers. Long story short, we were attacked by these officers for no reason. Eventually, all COVID year, we had to fight for our lives because they tried to place us with charges, and the internal affairs wouldn't do nothing until I beat the case. So we did beat the case, thank God, and they fired all 5 officers. Before this, I used to make over $6,000 a month. My family didn't want for nothing. And I was just getting to that part, a good part in my life, you know what I mean? And so we have left all COVID because I got scared. COVID happened. Nobody's in the streets. We're being attacked by officers at this point. So we leave the state until all the court orders are done. When we came back, 21, I tried to get my life back in order. I was not severely injured, but to me, I was severely injured. I couldn't work before. They messed up my right leg. So when I came back, I had no choice but to get on aid. I knew the homeless assistance program. Once again, it's my degree. I knew what was needed to get us back on our feet. So I said, let's go back where we were and let's get our lives back together.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I went to West Sacramento, which is part of Yolo County, to get aid. But I had a problem with our school district. During the years that we were there, we were being falsified for advocating for our children for a safe education in their school district, to the point where they were lying and having us thrown in jail. But they dropped all the charges because they know what the wrongdoing they were doing. So my choice was to get back on aid, get back secure in my field like I was, and find school for them in Sacramento. I felt safer in Sacramento.
Okay. Now, is the case, you said the case is in Yuma, in what county again?
Yolo County.
Yellow
It's
County.
right next to Sacramento.
And so Sacramento has their own jurisdiction?
Yes, they are two separate counties. Yolo County has West Sacramento, which you would think that's Sacramento jurisdiction, but it's Yolo County.
Okay, understand there. One of our listeners, Kay from Richmond, Virginia, asked is you're KK, and you're not KK. There's somebody from Brooklyn, New York that sounds a lot like you, which is fine. But Faye, what is happening, this mother, she has a partner, and they both are behind each other on raising their two children. They have an older child that's adult. Is that older child special needs?
No.
Okay.
It almost sounds similar to my case, how you describe it. And we have been on the news. Sacramento, put it this way, they've kidnapped my children from me 3 times.
I believe that. I'm not doubting they do. They do like that, but there's an agency in California, the CPS agency, that gets involved. Now, what got the police to attack you first? What caused the police want to attack you and your partner?
Okay, we found out what happened. So I got white on me. Unfortunately, there are some our white people, like any other race, that does not act accordingly. When we were like coaches to our children. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how much we love their lives for them to be successful, And the only way they could do that is how involved we are with them. So we got them because all the troubles I was having in West Sacramento with the school for them, I couldn't even get my daughter into just a cheerleading at the high school. Look, how they is out there is a lot of landowners. A lot of controversy came about when people from the Bay Area start moving into the area. So a lot of landowners start giving up their properties, and it became more community-based housing now. But the school still had some history that they would do. Like, I couldn't afford for my daughter to go to cheerleading because they wanted thousands of dollars, which I thought was ridiculous, So I had to go outside of our area to Sacramento, Oak Park, and we got them into the Panthers, I believe that's the name of children.
Is that a private school? Is that a private school?
No, it was just a community. It was just for football and cheerleading. Sacramento Panthers. Oh,
okay. So your daughter couldn't go in the regular high school cheerleading, so you had to go
because they wanted too much money.
Okay, they wanted too much money.
They wanted way too much money. It was ridiculous.
Well, is the area that you live in, is it high income area where people live there?
I mean, they should have had those paperwork, but it seemed like they're very, put it this way, I moved there in 2014 because my parents reside out there, and I have an autistic brother that I grew up with my whole life, and it got to a point where they could no longer have the caretaker he had for many years because they found out awful stuff. So they thought of me and was like, hey, move out here, help us, we'll help you, And that's why I moved to the area. But it was very problematic for me to move to the area because at the time I wasn't in the medical field. I was just a supervisor at a gas station. So I needed aid still. And I believe I was still on food stamps and stuff like that. And so I was trying to get in their Yolo County, West Sacramento, fast food assistance. They were giving me a hard time to where I had to use the knowledge from my degree and call people in the background that does the hiring and firing and say, hey, what is wrong? Why can't I get aided here? Like, what is the issue? Everything y'all need, I suffice. So because of me knowing the knowledge in this lady, I got aided. If it wasn't for that, I'd have never got aided from the county.
Well, the aid from the county, they're supposed to, part of the the child protection system, not only supposed to protect the children, they're supposed to give aid to family in need of clothing, food, medical, educational, even a job.
Incompetent in this county, the people are very harsh there. So, and I've seen it from my own eyes.
They didn't want to give you aid? They didn't want to give you aid when you asked for it?
They did not. They denied it. I had to go to hire people because of the knowledge of my degree I got in human services from Napa County. And I was currently going to University of Phoenix. I continued through the University of Phoenix. So I was very competent on how things should be.
Okay.
And the people who did not have this kind of knowledge, I don't know if you hear about it. That's why they came up with the degrees, because they were having so many workers doing improper stuff.
Right, and because in California, they don't need to be a degree to be a social worker. They don't need a license.
Yes, there's a lot going on. So now they made it to where they need to be competent, because we were being trained that families' lives were being destroyed and we didn't even know, And here I am, a witness. And I'm like, are you serious? And everything we've been trained to, as a mandated reporter, to report to these lines, if a worker is doing wrong, how we can report them. I've done all this. I couldn't find no help. Like, all these years I've been looking for help, I didn't even see y'all on all the Googles I've done, everything. I couldn't find y'all. I just found y'all this year. There was a lot of times where I did take breaks because it took a lot of mental toll on me. And then we're dealing with everyday life, and we're in complete hiding. I would do anything to make sure my kids are safe. Anything. I have all the proof they have is against them. You cannot take nobody's children because of how I talk to you, CPS, or the police. Determines how I handle my children. You cannot do that. That is a violation of my rights. And that's why they are trying to kidnap my children. Okay. And they brought up the attack from what I was telling you about 2019 with the police. 5 officers, internal affairs. I beat the case. Internal affairs got involved, and they fired all 5 officers for excessive force and racism.
Now, what was?
There was racism involved.
I mean, there is racism. Now, you say there is race. Were these white police officers or a mixture?
Yes, sir. They were white police officers.
Okay.
I'm 5'2" at the time. I was only 125, 130 pounds roughly.
Were they? I mean,
I had 5 officers on me.
Well, wait a minute. You're at a park, right?
Yeah. So basically, we were training our kids, and my daughter, she wants to be a cheerleader, okay? And she was the biggest one of all the cheerleaders.
Okay.
So when it came to the girls being thrown up in the air, she was kind of that base girl, which means we had to help her work out. You know what I mean? But
right.
That was a tough one for her. Basically, Dad was behind her, holding her head and telling her, no, run, because she was trying to do the, walking fast and not even walking fast.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get her to run. And one thing led to another. A white lady stepped out her house. From what I heard, she was a mother of not just a police officer, like he was a superior, like a supervisor type. Okay. And I don't know what she was thinking, but she called in and lied. And she said that the father picked her up and body slammed her and was doing all kinds of weird stuff that never happened. So instead of police doing thorough investigation,
That was your partner. That was your partner.
Attacking us.
Yeah, your partner was accused of slamming his daughter.
Yeah, and there was all kinds of. It was so many people at the park. They questioned everybody at the park, and everybody was obviously, they seen everything, and they were siding with us.
Was this an organized? Was this an organized group of cheerleaders practicing?
Well, we're so proactive. I don't know if you know about Oak Park, Sacramento, but it's not the nicest of the neighborhood. It's low-income families. And so I just felt like my kids could correlate with them more, but then it was a culture shock for us because when we got there to practice with them, it was more of a playground. So not only are we having to train our kids, but we're having to train this whole football team. Like, no, look, if we're coming with you and our kids, then they're going to play. It's not going to be a playground. It's not going to be, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you heard about that here, but
no, I haven't.
Our football, we got our football players. The coaches didn't want to keep traveling with them, but they were winning games left and right. I mean, that's how powerful they were. My son is a itty bitty boy compared to all the boys in his team, and he was a running back because the father trained him. My daughter was one of the top cheerleaders because we worked on them. You know what I mean? We don't want them to be hurt, and the best way for them to not be hurt in sports and activities is to practice. You got to stretch your legs, your tendons, all that stuff, because we've seen the kids in the football, they did a scrimmage, and the little boy got hit so hard, his bone's coming out his shin.
Oh.
So, yeah, we're going to go to the extent of practicing with our children. And my children's father, not trying to brag or nothing, I knew he was amazing, but until we got to this league, I didn't realize how amazing he was. He's one person. We never met this team before. It's the first time with them. And like I said, it's like a playground when we go there, right? Until they got to know us and the children started doing what we were doing, like being serious about practice. And there was one day they tested him and was like, you know what? Take all of them. I mean, every age group you could think about on that field was at his beck and call.
Wow.
I've never seen this team follow suit more perfectly than this day.
So when the officers showed up, what did they arrest you or did they ask questions?
They started grabbing my hands. They weren't even trying to talk. They immediately started trying to grab so it wasn't even with me, it was with the father, but they were trying to grab my hands. They pinned me down.
Wait. Why were they thinking a fight was taking place? Why would some police officers drive by and suddenly stop and grab you?
That's what he said. That's why they got fired. But, of course, how the laws work, even though they got fired from that county, doesn't mean they can't work nowhere else.
No, I realize that, but the thing is, it's so peculiar that I can't see anybody suddenly without a crime being committed or something's jumping in and suddenly grabbing you. That doesn't make sense. Did they say they were arresting you?
Honestly, sir, me as a white person, I've never seen this my entire life. And I have respectable people of my family as well, just starting off with my father. He was military for many years in intelligence, a police officer, I come from a respectable family as well as the children of my father. He's from Richmond, California, but he has a very much respectable family, police officers, military members. So we're very culturally shocked by these behaviors. Me especially, I've never, their father is Black and I'm not. So I couldn't really, I listen to Black people with some stories like that, but you don't see it for yourself. So it's not like you don't believe them. You're like you said, why would they do that? And here I am today, I'm 24, looking back at my life, like, wow, this really happened to us. I wouldn't wish on nobody, because it seems like it's been a domino effect since that day. But the 5 officers did get fired, but when we came back to town in 21, thinking we could have our lives back to normal, it wasn't. Long story short, I've been my own attorney thus far and my own investigator because my public defender that is representing me in the CPS case told me on day one when I met her in the courtroom that morning, she told me I'm as guilty as black and white as a paper in her hands, and she's never fought for me.
Well, that was a court-appointed attorney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you hear me describe what a court-appointed attorney is? It's a waste of time. They have a caseload of 30 people. They're only experienced in criminal law. They know nothing about dependency law. They won't fight for you, and they're going to look at the easy ways. They're friends of the social service attorneys and the judge. They're in cahoots.
Yeah.
And so what you did is that you got her. So he says you're guilty. Guilty of what? I still hadn't heard the charge. What charge the policemen were alleged you did?
Oh, the charge was, I guess, I can't remember the charges that they, for me, the charges I had to fight that year was because I had 5 officers on me, and I had a bad right leg already, and they were twisting every joint and parts that weren't even joints that shouldn't even be twisted on me, to where my right leg went completely numb. Like, I had no feeling in it, and I prayed and begged the Lord, please give me feeling. If it's in your will, help me get her off of me. And I was able to kick her off of me. So from that, they tried to make it seem like I attacked them.
Well, you're resisting arrest. The thing is, policemen don't attack other people unless they're immature, they're not trained, they have alternative motives. You see, when a policeman investigates the scenes, they usually try, if there's fighting going on, they'll break it apart. But they don't jump in and start handcuffing, arresting, all that right off the bat. They need to find out what's going on. They're going to talk to.
Yeah, well, that's what they did, and it's all on camera. It's in the Sacramento courthouse. You can pull it up. We beat the cases. They got fired. There's even videos that they have. I don't know if they still have them. I know we got them somewhere on a file somewhere because they had to give us copies of everything. They had videos from their body cams, from their cop car cams. And anyways, from that incident, when we came back into town, and you're going through the CPS case, when we've been in court those times, they brought up that case.
Well, wait a second. The cops had to contact the Child Protection Services because there's children involved.
It would be Sacramento's jurisdiction, and Sacramento felt that they had it all secured. See?
Oh.
So Waiolo is doing what they're. Well, what happened? Here's a story that I need to write out. So when we came back into town, of course, I'm trying to get aid. Obviously, I ain't got a place. So we're in hotel rooms. But we had apps we were working at the time. So we made, once we got back in cycle with it, we could make anywhere from $300 to $500 a day. So we were paying for food and rooms. Let me see. We were in a room, a Motel 6, out in Woodland one night. We paid for, I believe, 4 nights, 5 nights or something. Well, the minute after we checked in, we go to park in the back where our room is, and we go to take our stuff upstairs. We have 2 cars. He has his own car. I have my Jeep. And I'm going to my Jeep. I'm grabbing my stuff. I'm about to walk up the stairs, but before I even cross the street, a car comes flying in. And it's not just your normal car. It's a cop car. No lights on. He's speeding. And I'm like, what the heck? Luckily, I looked up, So he passed by again. I'm looking at him. He's staring me down. And I'm like, could you please turn on your lights? Because you're flying through here with no lights, nothing. You're speeding. Like, just at least turn on your lights. Kids could be walking out here, animals, anything. Because I have kids and I have dogs. And luckily they were already upstairs. He had an attitude off that, well, since you need to know, I'm chasing a crackhead. And I'm looking like there's nobody out here. And right when I was about to cross the street before he came speeding through, it was a tenant coming out their room.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was so much that he had to make a U-turn because it was at like the end of the driveway. Basically, it's just a small little parking lot. So he had to make a U-turn to go back out. And when he went to go make that U-turn, the guy was coming up at the same time when he was pulling up had the parking lot to be close to the rooms. He was pulling up on that, and the guy got scared too and jumped back. That's how fast this guy was moving.
Okay, but see, okay, I see that the police wanted to hassle you, but when they call CPS, what did CPS accuse you of?
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
Two different scenarios.
Right.
Yes. So now I dropped my thing. Really disturbed by how this cop acted. I'm already in fear of my life of cops right now, and I'm trying to understand that there's good and there's bad, and they're not all like this. You know what I mean? So the guy seeing that, he comes over and he helps me pick up my things. Being a nice Samaritan. We go up the stairs. He doesn't even come in the room. He drops it in front of my door or hands it to us or something so we could bring it in the room. We exchanged names, said hi, thank you, that was weird, have a good night. Not even 5 minutes later, I get a phone call to my room, and it's the receptionist saying, we're being kicked out. And we're like, we're being kicked out for what? You have an unauthorized guest. I'm like, what unauthorized guest? What are you talking about? Come to find out, she's talking about the gentleman that come help you with stuff. So I'm like, no, you can't do that. We just paid you how many days? You got to give us a refund. No, we don't give refunds. Okay, well, we're not leaving because we did nothing wrong, and that's our money. So it became a 3-day long ordeal where every day, for some reason, the cops were getting called out to mess with us and try to kick us out. The first 2 days, they were really cool. I thought they understood. We said, hey, we have no problems leaving, but this one is private property. We committed no crime or nothing. We paid good money, and we have to get our money's worth, or we could get a refund, and we don't mind leaving. We could use this money somewhere else. They don't want to give a refund. The cops confirmed that, and cops confirmed we have the right to be there legally because we did nothing wrong. Well, the third day, it was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We had just got back not too long ago from working a little, and then I think we were congratulating ourselves with like a little beer, and then go upstairs and sleep with the kids and start a new day again. Oh my gosh. We had to leave that night. The cops basically threatened to call CPS on us if we did not leave because we left our children upstairs unattended. And I'm like, they're teenagers, and we're right here, and we could see everything. They were just messing with us.
Wow.
So we're like, okay, well, you go ahead and call CPS. While you do that, we'll load up our car because at this point, this is way too much for us. Every day we've been getting harassed. All we're trying to do is, do what we need to do and be out y'all's way and probably never come back again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
While we were loading up our car, we're thinking he's calling CPS. We get our car all loaded up, kids, dogs, and now all of a sudden I left the room upstairs with something on the door because they had one of those keys, magnetic keys, and they had cut off our keys the whole time. That was the problem also the whole time, to where we had to knock on the door to wake up our kids if they were asleep or whatever to get in the place because they didn't want to give us activated keys.
Okay.
So I had the door open. I go downstairs. The cop goes upstairs, and they close the door. We're like, okay, well, where's CPS? That's why we loaded just in case they told us we had to go. We don't want to waste no time. We're done dealing with y'all with stuff.
I don't mean to have to cut this short, but I do have to tell because my time's up. It's 8 o'clock, and
I'm sorry.
That's not a problem because I want you to continue the story.
Really long.
No, it's not long at all. It's just I wish you had started earlier. But again, I'm on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'd love for you to continue that. That's Pacific Standard Time. Or if tomorrow morning's not good, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'm on. Because I love to hear from you again. And I love to help you out because it seems like there's some silly stuff with that Sacramento and with that place up there. And
don't. Here, let me hit you with this part.
Okay, go ahead.
Sacramento, that second time I told you they kidnapped the children, there's an article of us in South of California. They took my Jeep, my kids, my dogs, and us. They took us all the way back up to Sacramento to jail. Sacramento, look, if they had every right to do what they're doing to us, we can't be charged with kidnapping our own children. We told Sacramento, go research that. You know, we have relationship already. Go research them. Do you know they kicked us out their jail? They never charged us, so we went to go hunt Sacramento DA down. The DA told us our face, they are in a business of winning, not losing.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, let me do this. I got to run a special message on my show. So I'm going to end our conversation with you. I want to thank you. I want to thank Faye for your comments there. She was trying to be very supportive of you. She had a son that did some crazy things too, and the police were very suspicious. Not crazy things, but her son was being accused. So Faye knows where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. I'm behind you 100%. So all your listeners out there, I'll be on again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. at 10 a.m. in the morning. That's Pacific Standard Time. On Friday, I have a special time change. On Friday, instead of being on at 7 o'clock at night, I'll be on at 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon. 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon. So I'm going to end my podcast. I'm not going to end it, but I'm going to let it run so that Grace can run her message from Mr. Davis. You all listen to that. God bless you all. And I'm going to pull myself off the screen, and so you guys can listen.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer